Decision Plus has been and still is a leading stock market service provider. From training to coaching, we cover it all. Try both our software as well as our coaching site, completely free for 10 days without obligation. No credit card is needed to sign up for the trial. The trial subscription will be automatically canceled for you at the end. DecisionPlus.com, your stock market service center. Real-time coaching has been created. We search and classify critical reports and technical movements. You can visualize or hear the best buying and selling opportunities. Get real-time advice all day long and 3 live coaching shows per day. Let us do the work and save your time for trading. Try marketgurus.tv free without obligation for 10 days in the menus above. Market Vision Plus is the trading companion of so many investors. Make your fundamental and technical analysis easy with Canada's #1 stock market decision-making software. Research, decide, and follow your positions with Market Vision Plus. See the menus just above this program and try Market Vision Plus for 10 days without any obligation after the show. When it comes to day trading, Trader Plus is the right tool. Track 50 quotes simultaneously. Create dozens of quick lists. Display as many as 30 real-time intraday charts at the same time. Watch the action with candlesticks or bar charts as fast as 10 seconds. See the market by sectors. Use the chart models already prepared for you. Try Trader Plus for 10 days in the menu above without any obligation.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Swing Trading Show. Today we're Wednesday, June 17, 2015. The question bar is open, folks. If ever you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Today before the show started, I didn't put the chronicle of our Stock Trading Tricks Chronicle. I rather put the interview that we had yesterday with this company here, EUO, on the Venture Index Eurocontrol. The stock remains neutral. So it's a company, what they do, they actually develop barcodes for oil, so that we can track who, when this oil was bought, and actually prevent illegal organizations, terrorist organizations, to use oil to fund their illegal activities. So it's an interesting technology. 50 cents stats to go on Eurocontrol. With the market situation today, those are the things that are happening. First of all, in Greece, the National Bank of Greece said that the creditors need to come up with an agreement to actually avoid a crisis that could be unsustainable. That's according to the National Bank of Greece. Now, also what we have the FOMC announcement that is expected at 2 o'clock. With this announcement, folks, I think that for swing trading, it's really a situation where you should continue to remain on the sidelines. Yes, there is one stock that I'm going to show you that has been the best opportunities for day trading, but even on that opportunity, at 2 o'clock or before 2 o'clock, you should actually close your positions. Our scenario, what we believe on marketgurus.tv, that you can have access for free for 10 days, is that this SPY actually could repeat the scenario that we had in October, where we had a slight sideways formation and then a massive sell-offs. So right now, with the economic indicators that have been so-so in the US, the SPY has now reached almost 212 points, which was the target that we laid out on marketgurus.tv. We believe it could go lower, but this scenario could not happen as well and not do the same bearish shackle that we had here in October, simply because depending on how investors interpret the FOMC announcement. So this is why ahead of this announcement, we prefer to actually not recommend any positions on the long side, neither on the short side. However, on our portfolio on marketgurus.tv, we mostly have short exposure. We have a short exposure on the energy sector. Today, the sector has been slightly going up today, but lost all its upward momentum. And this sector here, as long as it remains within this downward corridor, there's definitely no opportunity at all on this sector. It's still a sector that remains totally within a clear set of information, not a sector worth to trade. We need the sector to at least go above 216, 215 points before considering to potentially buy some positions. This is why a short exposure that we have in the sector, such as KEL, Kelt Exploration, that we recommended as a short here, as long as it remains below 923, we're going to hold on to that positions. So this show today, folks, is really going to be focused on your questions, because in terms of news, we don't have really a lot of news on the markets. So here you have some questions concerning some technical analysis, concerning my opinion on some trading strategies and some stock. You're welcome to ask any questions, folks. This show will be dedicated to your questions today, because in terms of news, nothing is really interesting. One news I wanted to highlight, I know there's a lot of you follows Bombardier. Well, Bombardier, one of the executives said that they actually could work on breaking a larger C series, the CS-100, which is the smallest airplane. They expected to get the approval by the end of 2015. The other one, CS-300, they expect in the next coming years. And the big airplane they want to build is the CS-500. So it feels confident that Bombardier has the resources to potentially go ahead with the CS-500. And also we have another news here concerning Ivanhoe Mines. They wanted to sell their stake in one of their projects in Congo to a Chinese company, Xinjiang Mining. Now the government said that, hey, you cannot sell your stake on that project because there are some concerns that we have with your project so far. So politics is middling in the way of business, and Ivanhoe Mines is going down on that news. Of course, they're in a country where there's war, so every time there's war, there's money involved. We can definitely expect some nasty meddling of politicians into the regular business of companies. So this is actually the risk when the company announced that they were selling that stake. Also elsewhere, we have David's, our Montreal company, a Canadian company. Actually, they published their earnings, and their earnings have been disappointing. That's because they had some charges related to their IPO, but they say that excluding that charges, their results were slightly in line with estimates. So let's start with your questions, folks. As I said, all your questions are welcome. Now, when to buy WCP? Buy or sell. Okay, so right now WCP is doing the same thing as the energy sector. So it's having a rebound, but still remains within its downward trend. So for me, clearly, when to buy Whitecap Resources? First, the energy sector here needs to be at least above 220, 215 points. Why? Because this will confirm a wave of buyers that's consistent on the sector. First thing. Second thing, on Whitecap Resources, we need the stock to at least go above 1424. 1424 corresponds to the reversal of this downward corridor. If we could have that, that will be a go on a stock like Whitecap Resources. So 1424 as a go. Now, what are the targets? Well, there's a risk that the stock might stop at 1537, but getting in now will still be a great entry point. As an exit point to sell it totally, that's if the stock gets lower than this downward corridor, so below $13. So this is the conditions I would like to see from Whitecap Resources. First, the energy sector on the Canadian side, starting a bullish cycle. It needs to go above 212, 215 points for the energy sector. Whitecap Resources needs to actually go above 1424, the break of that resistance, the reversal of this downward trend as an entry point for your first target of 1538 towards that top. As an exit point, 1314 on the reversal of this downward trend of this downward corridor on Whitecap. So that's my analysis on a stock like that. Now, Todd is asking me about NSU. Your thoughts, please, Chris, on NSU. Well, NSU is being a victim of the sell-off that we have seen among gold stocks. NSU is close to be in a situation where it could stabilize. I think 422 is the point where you could expect the stabilization phase. So far, the stochastics on a yearly basis are showing us a clear wave of sellers that's consistent, that will continue. So for me, NSU is just a stock that you should watch to see where it could stabilize. 422 could be the point where it could stabilize for NSU, but right now I will not buy that stock. Especially a gold stock ahead of the Fomc announcement, it's a no-no for a stock like that. Now, Could we stabilize right now today because we're testing the 200-day moving average? It could be, but I'm still seeing a lot of selling pressure on a stock like that just by looking at the stochastics here, except for the 923 stochastics, but it can be fast. So for me, NSU, it's pursuing its decline. I think unless the stock could stabilize for 2-3 days around 422, 430 around this area, and actually reverse this downward trend, which means if it stabilizes at 450, it will need to go around 475. If it stabilizes around 422, which is that support, well, it will need to go above 450 to be a buying signal for NSU. But right now, NSU, it's a stock you should put on your watch list to see where is it going to form a stabilization phase. So far, the stochastics on a yearly basis is showing me that this stock still has some room to go on the downside before reaching the oversold situation. And look, it also corresponds to this upward trend there around 422. You see that it could be definitely a credible target. 430, a credible target where we could expect a pause on NSU. But so far, it's definitely not a buy. Now, should you try trading a long stock or just hold it so you don't get out of step on a daily basis? Well, it all depends, Peter. It's not black and white. Of course, when you buy a stock and you hold on to it, well, there's a risk that you might make more money because you bought the stock at a cheaper price, and the stock could actually go up, and you don't sell it at the middle of its rally. So, yes, it could pay off if you're being a little bit more patient on the markets, definitely. But should you just hold it and don't get out on a daily basis? That's not what we advise on MarketGurus.tv, because what we say basically is that yes, it's good to hold on to a stock when it's doing well. I'll give you an example. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple, it's a stock that we still have in our analyst shares portfolio. You know when we recommended Apple as a buy? We recommended that stock as a buy, if I remember right, I think around this area or that area. So we have held on to Apple since then. Good job. But throughout the way, we have been able to actually take some profit on Apple. And this is what it's important to do. Even if the stock is maintaining its upward trend, taking some profit along the way is the safest alternative and strategy.
Find answers to your questions by emailing your host at btm@decisionplus.com.
5 good reasons to manage your investments with National Bank Direct Brokerage. Commission fees fixed at $9.95 anytime for all clients and starting at only $6.95 for active investors. No administrative fees if you hold at least $20,000 in your accounts. Registered accounts available in U.S. currency. Powerful tools to help you manage your portfolio. Award-winning customer service and satisfaction levels amongst the highest in the industry. To learn more, visit nbdb.ca or call us now.
Real-time coaching has been created. We search and classify critical reports and technical movements. You can visualize or hear the best buying and selling opportunities. Get real-time advice all day long and 3 live coaching shows per day. Let us do the work and save your time for trading. Try MarketGurus.tv free without obligation for 10 days in the menus above.
Welcome back, folks. Now, to finish your questions here, Peter, as I said, what we advise on MarketGurus.tv is that if you're buying a stock, you hold on to it. Okay, you have to be patient, but take some profit along the way. Why is the safest alternative is because while the stock maintains its upward momentum, you're able to collect some cash, put it in your pocket, and even increase your exposure. So let's say you bought Apple here, you're able to sell Apple around this area, use that cash to buy it back when the stock got back in. Now, I also understand your second statement here when you said that to not get out of step on a daily basis. It is true that, let's say you bought Apple here, well, you might say, you know what, when that stock has reversed its upward trend here around on December 9th, if you bought it here, well, you should have get out. Okay, that could be something where you could have regretted because finally then Apple stabilized and was able to make a new high and was still able to maintain this important upward trend. So this point here, So let's say you took the decision to get out of it here. Well, that's because you had a short-term horizon and you were actually not feeling comfortable on being too patient on a stock like Apple. It didn't pay off, but you had also had the opportunity to get back in on Apple on January 23rd. So it's really a question of, first of all, when I'm putting my buying signal on a stock, how much loss am I willing to tolerate? Am I willing to tolerate a loss slightly below that support of 5 or 6%, or am I willing to actually see that stock on a yearly basis, on a yearly chart, and give myself some maneuver, some leeway before closing that position? So that is something. For instance, here at Apple, if you bought it here, technically speaking, if you were really a short term, you would have got out here. But if you're a medium to long term, you might say, you know what, I'm going to be slightly patient because this decline is not enough for me to overreact. So it would have paid off if you remain patient. Now, if you have remained patient also as well and not sell that position when it reversed this upward trend, because on a yearly basis, even if we had this reversal here, on a yearly basis, we still had this important upward trend that was maintained, that would also have paid off. But if you're still a short term, it's still okay though, because if you have gotten here, you knew that at this point you had to close your positions, but you still had made some money, right? So this is actually not a black and white thing. It all depends first on your preference, on your risk tolerance, and also on what type of chart do you use. Do you use more on a yearly basis or more on a daily basis? On Market Gurus.tv, we tend to look at those stocks mostly on a daily basis. If on a daily basis they do well for a while, well then we actually have already taken some profit. And then what we might consider, you know what, instead of only considering the short-term upward trend, let's consider the overall picture, put more data, and let's consider Apple mostly on a yearly basis as an upward trend. So for us right now, because we bought Apple here, we have been able to take some profit along the way. Now, where is our exit point? We're considering this long-term upward trend, and our exit point on Apple becomes if only and only if the stock could go below $120. So this is actually the strategy that we favor on MarketGurus.tv. Now, SRT.UN. What's your view on SRT.UN? Would a rise in interest rate coming down the pipeline soon or eventually prevent you from buying this type of equity? Thank you. Real estate will be impacted by a rise in interest rate because that's how they finance their acquisitions, right? So low interest rate is always positive for REITs. Now, will a rise in interest rate impact my decisions to buy some REITs? Personally, no, because I think those are key characteristics I'm watching in a REIT is, first of all, see their occupancy rate and see how diversified is their portfolio. Now, state retail retail. Now, what are the challenges facing that REIT? If there's a rise in interest rate, it's going to be negative. Of course, we could expect a wave of sellers on a stock like that. However, the challenge that most retail REITs face is, first of all, is the Canadian economy. Canadian consumers have a lot of debt. Job creation in Canada is not that great. It's okay, but not that great. So our people are going to continue to buy more at shopping centers, and other shopping centers also available for people who don't go to shopping centers through the mobile devices. I think those are the things you have to look for, because if people don't consume more on the shopping centers, well, the tenants of those shopping centers would not be able to pay as much. So those are the things you need to also take a look at. You cannot only rely on interest rate. I think you also have to look at other key factors in terms of occupancy rate, in terms of how the Canadian economy is doing, especially if you're dealing with retail REIT, because their performance is based on how the consumer will spend their money. If they don't spend that much money, it's not so good for those REITs and also for those tenants, because they're not able to charge those tenants a higher price because they're not making as much money because less people are consuming on their shopping centers. So I hope I answered your questions, Bear. As I said, yes, I'd take a look at the financial effect of a rise in interest rate. Yes, it's going to have a negative effect, but I think that on the medium to long term, the strength of the Canadian economy, I don't know if they're only in Canada or in the US, how they manage their portfolio, how diversified is their portfolio, are also aspects I look forward to actually determine if a REIT is worth to buy or not. Now, as for the day trade of the day, is that stock here, DSKX on NASDAQ. several entry points on that stock. So you had here all those entry points on a stock like DSKY, and that has been our best day trade of the day. So right now, folks, all eyes are on Janet Yellen at 2 o'clock. As I said, I don't think it's a moment to open any positions for swing trading. For day trading on a stock like DSKX, if you bought it at opening, good job, you take some profit, but do not increase your exposure on the market at all. We prefer to actually stay on the sideline, and then after the market digests the FOMC announcement at around 2 o'clock or so, we might actually favor another strategy. We believe that the market has a high probability to go down, but we need to see how it's going to react to the FOMC announcement. And so far, some analysts say they're going to have a delay in the rise in interest rate. Some say that the Fed is going to act. So we'll wait to see, and we'll be there actually tomorrow to tell you what strategy you should adopt depending on the market's reaction to the FOMC announcement at 2 o'clock. So see you tomorrow on the Swing Trading Show on DecisionPlus.com.